It was my inaugural experience on an airplane, and I must admit, I was scared stiff. As the aircraft prepared for takeoff, the seat belt light illuminated, signaling the imminent departure. I secured myself in my seat, glancing around to see the flight attendants settling in. But as the anticipation built, my heart began to race uncontrollably, as if attempting to break free from my chest. Beads of sweat formed on my forehead, and I felt like a nervous wreck. The plane slowly started rolling down the runway, and I tried to convince myself that I could handle this. However, my confidence quickly shattered when the engines roared to life with an intimidating force. The loud noise sent shivers down my spine, intensifying my fear. Suddenly, the aircraft accelerated to an astonishing speed, causing it to shake violently as it raced along the runway. It felt as if the plane was on the verge of losing control and crashing. As the plane ascended into the sky, my terror only intensified. The wobbling and swaying of the wings, the constant shaking and rattling, all contributed to my overwhelming sense of dread. I closed my eyes tightly, pressing my head against the headrest, desperately hoping that this nightmare would soon come to an end. I couldn't help but mutter a silent prayer, pleading with God to spare my life. Summoning the courage to open my eyes, I cautiously glanced out the window. My heart sank even further, plummeting to my stomach as I witnessed the vast expanse of the sky. Doubts plagued my mind, and I cursed myself for ever agreeing to embark on this journey. However, eventually the plane leveled off and the engine's roar subsided, allowing for a smoother flight through the clouds. As I gazed out the window once more, a sense of awe washed over me. The white, fluffy clouds floated gracefully in the troposphere, showcasing God's majestic creations. It was a sight that left me speechless, momentarily easing my anxiety. But just as I began to find relief, turbulence struck with vengeance. The plane shook violently, trembling up and down, swaying back and forth, as if it were engaged in a battle with the elements. Without warning, it started plummeting towards the ground, sending me into a state of sheer panic. In that moment of desperation, I clung to my faith, reciting the Lord's Prayer with fervor. The words spilled from my lips, a desperate plea for salvation. Miraculously, the plane ceased its descent, stabilizing once again. The force of the turbulence had left some passengers shaken, and my nerves raw with fright. I chuckled nervously, relieved to have survived the ordeal. As the plane prepared to land in Russia, the fear resurfaced. The aircraft descended rapidly, inching closer and closer to the ground. I couldn't bear to witness the impending impact, so I closed my eyes once more, seeking refuge in darkness. The plane touched down with a jolt, the force of the landing making me fear for the integrity of the tires. The fast-moving aircraft continued to roll down the seemingly endless runway, finally bringing us to the Domodedovo International Airport in Moscow, Russia. The thought was inescapable. I was deep within America's adversaries' territory, and my paranoia was at its peak. You've been listening to Mia Z. Edwards' Diaries. New stories arrive daily, except Sundays, my rest day. Until then, stay inspired.